is talking season, and that is exactly what happened today. Who, what, when, where, why, we'll tell you right here on the Fan Upstate. Welcome into the show. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Tuesday edition of Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate. The media outing that officially kicks off the 2025 football season was today at Clemson. Meanwhile, SEC Media Days happening, Diesel. So talking season it is. And boy, if you're a Clemson fan out there in the upstate of South Carolina today, you ought to be licking your chops because, Diesel, today's show is, what would you call it, Tiger heavy, not the Baton Rouge Tigers, but Tiger heavy show today.
Yeah, we're not about family up here. We're about family.
That's right.
You say it the right way. You enunciate all the letters.
So if you are a Clemson fan, number one, turn it on and leave it on. Tell your friends, tell your folks, everybody that's a part of your life. Tell them that this is the show on this Tuesday that will have the audio from just a couple of hours ago. There are other shows out there, but we're going to bring it to you, Dabo Sweeney audio in this very first segment. We also have a funny story from Dabo later about Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly talking about the real Death Valley. Tom Allen spoke at Clemson's open house today. Diesel, I caught up one-on-one with Mike Houston. Really good guy, really nice fella. I just love spending time with him this morning. Also, Garrett Riley, Ben Boulware, so much to get to on the show today. And if you haven't heard what happened with Dabo and Brian Kelly, 3:45, I'll play the audio for you. It's not the Brian Kelly that you would expect us to be talking about, Diesel. A little bit of a tease there, but good for Dabo playing off and, not being embarrassed by it. It was pretty funny, though.
Well, this is going to be news to me because I haven't even heard
You'll
this
like
yet.
it.
I don't even know what this is about. We're all learning together,
You'll like it.
Me and you. And welcome Tiger Truther into the stream. He's watching on Twitter right now. By the way, Tolos, the 40 of you who are already in the stream watching the show, awesome. Happy to have you there. Make sure if you haven't already, make sure that you have liked the page.
Yes.
Or subscribed to the channel that you're watching us on. A lot of people think that you are because maybe you search for it every day and you jump in and watch the stream. But if you haven't yet, make sure that you've liked that button, hit that like button or the subscribe button. And if you haven't, go ahead and do it. Give it a little taparoo.
Give it a little tap. DB, what's up, DB, on the stream? Good to see you. By the way, Diesel, I played the new college football video game today. You wouldn't be proud of me. I got whooped.
Oh, by who?
Michael Vaughn, good friend of mine, great guy. But Michael Vaughn whooped my behind.
Did you have a clue what button to hit?
Not really.
It's like
Not
Alabama
really.
playing an FCS team, huh?
Not really. I was kind of lost.
Oh, man.
I was kind of lost. But let's do a little reaction to what Dabo Sweeney had to say, Diesel. We start with, I believe, my question to him about the current landscape of college football. Tomorrow you'll hear from the general manager and C.J. Spiller on tomorrow's show. But here's Dabo Sweeney on the current landscape of college football.
Oh, man, who knows where everything's going. I think all I can tell you is we're in a better place right now than we were last year. That's for sure. And, I think that there is a cap. I think you got to drive the car. The four power conferences have created a new college, it's called College Sports Commission, I think is what it's called. And they've invested a lot of resources in putting that together. And so there's an infrastructure that has been put in place, but waiting on the settlement to happen to really activate. And I think, we're all as coaches hoping that I'm sure we got to drive the car a little bit. And I'm sure there's some kinks and things that have to be worked out, but I think everybody wants some structure. We're coming out of an era where there's been zero. There's no structure, no transparency, no rules, none. And if there were rules, they weren't enforced. Nobody knew them. So it's just kind of do whatever you want. And now we're, appears to be heading into an era where there is supposed to be some transparency and some structure and consequences. But I guess again, we just gotta it might take another year for it to really kind of settle because a lot of people front loaded a bunch of money, and the cap really doesn't start till July 1, and people knew that, anticipated that. So we'll see. It might take a year to really kind of sort things out and fall into place, but anything will be better from a structure standpoint than what we've had, because we've had zero.
We've had zero, Diesel. Does that make you feel better about the direction that a guy like Dabo's encouraged?
Yeah, a guy who said, look, if we start paying players, I'm out of here. He is now encouraged by the implementation of the structure of college football, and I appreciate what he said there. He said it's going to take some time. There's going to be kinks that have to be worked out. There's going to be some things that we need to get figured out, and it's going to take us a little while to get that done. He said, we're coming from an era where there were no rules. If there were rules, they weren't enforced. What he didn't say is if they were enforced, they'd get struck down in court, and we'd be right back to square one. That should, and even if you're a South Carolina Gamecock fan listening to this show right now, I know a lot of you will put your fingers in your ears or throw up a middle finger or throw up a proverbial wall anytime Dabo Swinney has anything to say at all. But for a guy that has been a staunch traditionalist for the way college football used to be, for him to say there's some positive structure on the way in the sport, that's got to be promising.
I think so, man. I think so. And to your point, I thought you hit the nail on the head. He was the one that was adamant against all of this, right? So for him to hear him speak like this, I think it does give you a little bit of hope. Tolos were reacting to what Dabo Swinney said earlier today. If you are new to the show, visiting via stream, you can listen on 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, also on the free Odyssey app.
I find it amusing that the moment Dabo Swinney says there's structure on the way, we're hearing little whisperings, rumblings, maybe just rumors out of SEC media days. Maybe Nick Saban would eye and earn a return to coaching. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Papa Nick's not coming back. He's not coming back. Nobody's going to get Nick Saban. But it's fun to think about. It's fun to think about if the reason why Nick Saban left was because he was tired of all this stuff, and it seems as if there's some structure coming back and he still has some juice and some gas left in the tank, why not?
Yeah. What about Adam Randall, Diesel? One thing that you and I have talked about a good bit this offseason and will continue to do so is the Clemson running back room, right? What the Clemson running back room looks like. There's not that number one guy going into the fall like there usually is. However, Dabo Swinney says and is very adamant that he believes in Adam Randall.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's fun. You got, we've had a couple of dudes around here for a while, and Shipley and Maffa, and those guys are off doing their thing now. And I was just talking with KJ the other day. I think Shipley's had a great off season and great mini camp and all that, and he's up there doing his Shipley thing, competing his butt off. And I can't wait to see Maffa do his thing. He's gonna be a really good pro. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But those have been the workhorses around here for the last few years, so it's just kind of a new era, if you will. And there's always, anytime there's a little bit new era, you don't know much about anybody, and a lot of times we forget that we got some highly recruited dudes in here, some very high accolade guys that have done a lot of things that we just kind of forget about. They just hadn't really had their opportunity yet. So Adam is the wild card. I mean, he's the one senior in the room, and that's Adam. I mean, this is I think, and again, y'all know I'm not always right, but sometimes I am. I really think he'll be one of the great college football stories this year. I really believe that.
So how about that?
High praise.
One of the great college football stories talking about Adam Randall moving from wide receiver to running back.
Well,
could be.
When running back is a big question mark for Clemson right now, and it would appear, or logic would dictate, that all these teams, LSU and others that are going to be playing Clemson in weeks 1, 2, and 3, they're going to key in on the pass and make you beat them with the run. If Adam Randall can come out of the gate fast and just be good enough to make defenses respect the run, second half of that LSU game could get real fun.
You know what I think is a really interesting point, Diesel, before we move off of the running back conversation with the running back room at Clemson? You do as a fan. You want to have that one guy, right? You want to have the C.J. Spiller. You want to have the Travis Etienne. You want to have that one guy. But I also think, kind of looking at Maffa last year, I think it's important to remind fans and remember, Diesel, that it's not always about having the one guy. It's sometimes more about having the healthy guy. And Clemson experienced that last year in a not-so-good way, right, with Phil Maffa, and just the fact that he couldn't stay healthy. Well, now you look at Keith Adams, you look at Adam Randall, you look at Gideon Davidson, a freshman, and a couple of more that I didn't even throw in there, Diesel. I think this rotation that Garrett Riley will have at his fingertips will be more of that, a rotation where they can get more guys in. And guess what? Against Georgia Tech, it may be more Gideon Davidson. Against Pittsburgh, it may be more Adam Randall. But I think ultimately, as long as you can stay fresh, that'll benefit Clemson.
I seem to remember a time, wasn't that long ago, where having two running backs at Clemson was pretty good.
Yeah.
James Davis, C.J. Spiller, remember them? Thunder and Lightning. It worked out well for them.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it happen again? Look, you're right. Having a healthy guy, having a healthy number one available at any given time is where it's at. And if one guy is down, the other guy can step back up, and vice versa, especially if they have two different skill sets. And that's really valuable.
T-Swizzle says, so they're rolling with him this year. T-Swizzle, I think you'll see multiple backs. I think you'll see Gideon Davidson. I think you'll see Keith Adams. Dabo said today, and I quote, "You're going to feel Keith Adams. He brings something different to the group." I think you'll see Adam Randall, Keith Adams, and Gideon Davidson a lot this year. He spoke really highly of Gideon Davidson in this clip.
I thought was the best back in the country last year. He just got here. So, I mean, we all gonna find out. And we got a really good group of guys, and they got to go compete. These are competitive dudes that are all at kind of different phases of their journey, and we'll see how it all shakes out. Should be a lot of fun, but we really are confident in our guys, in our room.
And again, a lot of Clemson fans, they expect to have one guy named. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, Diesel, if you don't have the one guy named at the running back position. Again, I think if you're a Clemson fan, you need to be okay. You need to be content with having a stable of running backs. I really do.
Jersey Joe just says, forget about it.
Of course he does.
Stream,
What's
Jersey
up, Jersey Joe?
Let's see. Tiger Truther says, I think they'll use them all situationally.
I agree with that. Tiger Truther, again, appreciate you hopping in the stream today. First time, maybe not the first time you've been on the show, but would love to see more of you. I agree with you on that. Dabo Sweeney was asked if the playoffs need expansion. Here's Dabo's answer.
Care less. I just stand at the Clemson podium. That's where I stand. And I just focus on the Tigers. I know everybody wants some kind of clickbait comment or anything. I could care less. I mean, seriously, and I really don't mean that disrespectful. Yeah. I'm just talking like, man, because none of that's going to help us beat LSU. Like, I just need we got one season. We have one team 130. One time that we get to have a team 130. One 2025 season. And that's all I'm worried about. I mean, I've said many times, it's a waste of my time anyway, because it's gonna all blow up in a few years anyway. That's my prediction. We'll see.
Dabo predicted. It's all gonna blow up.
Well, somebody in the communications department needs to tell Dabo the phrase is, I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. If you could care less. No, I'm not going to give him a hard time for that. He's right. It's all going to blow up because people can't leave well enough alone, right? Everybody always wants to tinker. Everybody says, oh, we've had this system for a year, by the way. Mm-hmm. One time we went through the 12-team playoff. Oh, we got to change it. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to have more players. We got to have 16 teams. And what if 16 becomes 18? What if 18 becomes 24? This is what happens. People won't leave it alone. So it's really impossible. And I appreciate somebody like him saying, look, I don't care.
Nothing we can do about it.
Whatever happens, if our team is in a position at the end of the year where we've had a good enough year to make the playoff, we're going to go off and play in the playoff. Granted, a few years ago, I remember this happened probably like 10 years ago. Somebody asked Dabo about more postseason games, and I'm pretty sure it was Dabo, who complained, like, oh, we don't have the personnel to go on long runs. We don't have the personnel to go from a 4-team playoff to an 8-team playoff to a whatever playoff after that. You have to play. What are you going to do? Say, one or two of our guys got banged up in the first round of the playoffs, so we're just going to quit because we don't have enough guys. No. If you win, you play on.
No, I think most coaches, if we're asked that question, I think 95% of coaches would give a very similar answer, right? It's, hey, look, nothing we can do. We've got to be the best version of us that we can be. Here's a little bit longer of an answer on the offensive identity in 2025. I like this one. What does that look like? What does the offensive identity mean, and when will it shape into form in 2025?
I mean, I think for us, when we've been at our best, we've had some type of semblance of balance, in totality. Some games is different. A lot of that's determined on who you're playing, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, all that type of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, you want to have some type of balance, and when you look at our best offenses, that's what you've seen. But I think we all know we've got a really good quarterback. He's a very talented player that's confident, that's made big plays. He really understands our system. He's very poised, and we have elite skill. We got some elite skill. A bunch of guys that can make some plays. And this time last year, Wesco hadn't played, TJ hadn't played, Antonio was coming back off an injury. We're going to get Tyler Brown back. He was out last year, so we lost one offensive lineman. We've got really good depth up front. So I think it's just a cohesive group. But as far as what our identity is, we're the dirt rate, as Garrett likes to say. We want to. Everything for us comes with being physical and running the football, creating. And when I say run the football, it's not saying we're going to run the ball 40. It's about being efficient in what you do. It's about being efficient because if you can be efficient, it creates, big play opportunity and creates the balance that you seek. You and then injuries can dictate those things. So I think it's you evolve to that. I don't think you just show up day one without any preseason games and play LSU and be the best you. You hope to be the best you coming out of camp at that point, but it's a long season. There's a lot of work to be done. Guys get better. Injuries happen. New guys step in. There's just so much that evolves throughout the course of the season. You look at last year. I know we came out of the first game and I thought the first half we really matched up great. We had a bad third quarter, but you come out of that game and you're like, man, you feel bad about you don't feel good about where you are. You're frustrated. You watch the tape. You say, you know what, we got a chance to be a good team. If we can just keep building. And as it turned out, hey, we won our league and had a good year and set ourselves up for a good season this year. With the amount of teaching opportunities and experience that came from that.
So that is Dabo on the 2025 offensive identity in terms of what it will look like. One more for you before we run to a break. Diesel, you can comment first.
Yeah, I did like what he said there about what was that phrase he used? Dirt rake. We're going to be physical. We're gonna be playing on the ground. Committed to being effective at the run, whether that means running it 10 times a game or whether that means running it 40 times a game. Look, when you have a receiving core like they have, that we all have super high expectations for, if your run game isn't working, throw it over the top. You got a bunch of dudes. It's not like you're limited to one, number one receiver and everybody else around them stinks, so the defense can just key in on that guy. This team's going to spread all over the field, and it's going to be scary for a lot of defenses.
Last one for you before we run to a break. The 2025 defense. How does he like the four-man front? Here's what Dabo said.
Say that again.
The four-man defensive front.
Yeah, well, I tried to get Dexter Lawrence to walk in here with me. We ain't got nobody that looks like that. I said, Dex, it'll go viral. You come in with me. You be my new recruit. It was fun to see all those guys, Dexter, Austin, Clee, all them guys are in town, Sean, KJ's here. They're all here training. Fun to see those guys. But I think it's a really good group. It's, I think the difference from when Dexter and Clee and Austin and Christian, when that group, that we're a little deeper. We're a deeper group. We go back and look at that team. We were really lucky because we were very fortunate from an injury standpoint that year. We had Huggins. We kind of had those 5 guys. We were really, really young behind them and inexperienced. This is a deeper group that I think we've got 9 defensive ends, 9 D tackles, scholarship guys that all have a chance to compete, and so a little more depth. We'll see. They ain't that group. Because that group's, they got their headlines are based on performance. There's just a bunch of potential in this group.
So that is Dabo Swinney, and most of his answers today, most of his speaking today at the podium, Diesel, really good stuff there from Dabo. Again, one clip we didn't play, we'll play at 3:45, about how he thought Brian Kelly was the only Brian Kelly on the face of the earth. Turns out there's another Brian Kelly. We'll have that for you at 3:45. But a lot of Shane Beamer yesterday, Diesel on the show, and today a lot of Clemson and Dabo Swinney. If you Tolos out there in the Palmetto State want local, we have it for you.
JB, who is a South Carolina Gamecock fan on the stream, says, I think Clemson goes 11-1, but that one loss will be a conference slip-up, and they beat both LSU and South Carolina. Ooh, South Carolina Gamecock fans, are you going to let one of your own talk about Clemson that way, that complimentary?
I think they'd take that, right?
He does have a daughter who plays in the Clemson Tiger marching band, so he says he's going to be at Clemson every Saturday this year. Every Saturday they got a home game, at least. Tiger Truther says, I'm truly hoping for 12-0. I bet you are. So there you go. T Swizzle also says got 4, even 5 dudes this year on the receiving corps.
RJ got in on the text line, but really good interaction on the stream. 64 Tolos chatting it up there. RJ was asking about Jarvis Green. I hate to tell you, RJ, but I just don't know that he'll be featured a lot more. He hadn't been able to stay healthy, and with the 3 backs that Clemson's going to rotate, I don't know how much you'll see of the Dutch Fork Silver Fox.
When we come back, does Scottie Scheffler have it all figured out, or has he lost his killer instinct? We'll talk about it ahead of the Open next. Joel, you've been known to put a little scratch on sports. It's happened time or two, as it has with me. I've done it. A lot of our Tolos have done it. And Scottie Scheffler, almost every week, finds himself an odds-on favorite to go out and win a tournament. The question is, after I tell you what Scottie Scheffler had to say and how he feels about winning, does that make you not want to put money on him anymore? It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Scottie Scheffler spoke to the media ahead of the Open Championship, which will be at Royal Portrush Golf Club in County Antrim, Northern Ireland. Not a clue where that is, but it's there. Beautiful course. Scottie odds-on favorite. 16 tour wins, 3 major wins. 2 of them were the Masters. He won the PGA. He's 2 away from completing the career Grand Slam. He could pull within 1 and only need the U.S. Open if he wins this weekend. But it doesn't really seem like winning is actually all that important to him. Doesn't really seem like he enjoys winning all that much. Have you heard what he said yet?
No, I have not.
Okay. This may be
First time.
This may be rough if you are a Scottie Scheffler fan and if you put money on Scottie. He says, "This is not a fulfilling life." Direct quote. "It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of the deepest places of your heart. That's something that I wrestle with on a daily basis. It's like showing up at the Masters every year. It's like, why do I want to win this golf tournament so badly? Why do I want to win the Open Championship so badly? I don't know, because if I win, it's going to be awesome for 2 minutes." Like, Scottie just doesn't really take a whole lot of joy and revel in his victories. I mean, it sounds like Scottie's depressed a little bit.
See, I would say the opposite. I would say, hearing that, I would say the opposite, that Scottie, to me, doesn't come across as depressed at all. That Scottie comes across as he knows what in his life fulfills him, brings him joy, brings him happiness, and brings him eternal happiness compared to temporary happiness and happiness rather. And to me, when I hear that, it sounds like it sounds like, again, this is just my hearing it for the first time. Sounds like he's saying, you know what, these are great, but there are more important things in life to me.
What if Scottie Scheffler pulled a Ricky Williams? You know, not like going off and being a yogi and ripping bong hits all day, but what if he just gives it all up because it's not really all that important to him?
I mean, I
just watched the Run Ricky Run
Yeah.
ESPN doc, the 30 for 30, which is like 10 years old now. It's weird. You go back and watch that, and it seems like he was in a happy place at the end of that documentary. You come back, now he's got a new wife and like 2 more kids from where he was at the end of that thing.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting when you read the quotes, when he talks about it's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of the deepest places of your heart. Sometimes the feeling only lasts about 2 minutes, Diesel, in that quote you just read. It's pretty exciting and fun, but it just doesn't last that long. So he's won 19 times since his first title at the 2022 Open, right? The question that I ask, right, when I hear this quote for the very first time.
And there's more, by the way.
There is more. The question that I ask is, okay, so if his fulfillment does not come from winning golf tournaments, what is it? What is his fulfillment? And I can imagine knowing Scottie and having watched him on certain podcasts with Grant Horvat and other golfers, I already know where it is, where his fulfillment is in his life, but it does go back to what Tom Brady said. And again, not to make this a deeper conversation than it is, but if you remember, Diesel, I can't remember exactly what Super Bowl it was that Tom Brady won, but he did an interview with a morning show a couple of weeks after the Super Bowl, and it was like his 3rd or 4th trophy, and he said, "This is great," and I'm paraphrasing, but Tom Brady said there's got to be more in life. And the lady who's interviewing him is sitting there thinking, "Are you crazy that you just won your 3rd or 4th Super Bowl and you think there's more to life than just winning Super Bowl?" So I think it's kind of similar in that aspect.
Well, Tom Brady may have said that, but what happened at the end of his career when he had the decision to make of, do I want to go play another year with the Buccaneers or do I want to stay married to Gisele Bundchen, the mother of my kids?
Yeah.
And he chose football.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, look, everybody's got to make this decision for themselves, whether it's an athlete, whether it's you, Tolos, doing your job. What's the most important thing to you? Is it being wrapped up in your job and in your career and in your passion, or is it spending time with your family? Is it your faith? What is it that makes you a whole person? And Scottie Scheffler is saying that the wins don't really make him a whole person. That's not his raison d'etre. He also says, quote, "It's great to be able to win tournaments and to accomplish the things that I have in the game of golf. It brings tears to my eyes just to think about it because I've literally worked my entire life to be good at the sport. To have that kind of sense of accomplishment, I think, is a pretty cool feeling. To live out your dreams, to get to live out your dreams is special, but at the end of the day, I'm not out there to inspire the next generation of golfers. I'm not out here to inspire someone to be the best player in the world because what's the point?" You know, like we talk about a lot of athletes sometimes and saying, well, that person just doesn't seem all that dedicated to their craft. I mean, if you really wanted to parse words, if you really wanted to split hairs, couldn't you say that about Scottie Scheffler? Like, he is not 100% in life dedicated to his sport.
You could say that I from what I hear in those quotes and what I hear you say, I think you could say that Scottie Scheffler, his life doesn't revolve around the game of golf. That's what I would say. That's how I would take it. Scottie Scheffler's life doesn't revolve around golf. Could a lot of people out there look at that as a negative? Sure. Could a lot of people out there who do have faith of their own look at that as a positive, like I do? Also, sure, because for me and for others out there who do have faith and use faith is what grounds them, jobs and even what you and I do as a job is fun, Diesel. I mean, we got to go talk to Dabo Sweeney today. But at the end of the day, for me and other people who do have faith in whatever religion that they believe in, it's I'm not going to speak for everybody, but it's the faith that grounds them. It's the joy they get from the faith and their beliefs that ground them. And I just think that Scottie's a really grounded guy that's not allowing like the world, the secular things to impact his life. And of course, he's going to get scrutinized for it. But I respect it.
Compare him side by side with a guy like Tiger, who made golf everything to him. He made it his entire life. And it cost him a lot outside of the game of golf. Cost him marriages. Almost cost him his leg. JD says, I don't think Scottie goes anywhere unless he isn't ranked number one in the world anymore. Then possibly he could go. Fascinating. What if Scottie Scheffler falls from the world ranked number one? Would that be the day that Scottie Scheffler retires?
No, I don't think so. Listen, here's what I think he does. I think he plays long enough to where his kids don't have to worry about anything in life. And Scottie Scheffler, Diesel, is good enough and young enough to where he can play golf. Just think about that. You play golf.
I think he's already there money-wise, by the way. He's earned $94 million.
Might be close.
I think a couple generations.
Okay, maybe his kids. Maybe his kids. Maybe he's already got names, so I don't know. But look, I would imagine that he wants his family to be set up. Maybe he wants to be charitable. I don't know.
Yeah.
But do I see him playing until John Daly? The John Daly. No, I don't see him playing forever. I could see him doing something completely outside of golf. But I think he enjoys it. I just don't think his world revolves around it.
We'll finish off his quote here, and then we'll get deeper into the weeds on this discussion. Quote, you win it, you celebrate, get to hug your family. My sister's there. It's such an amazing moment. Then it's like, okay, what are we going to eat for dinner? Life goes on.
That sounds like me.
It feels like you work your whole life to celebrate winning a tournament for like a few minutes. If it only lasts a few minutes, it sucks. I hate it. I really do. We work so hard for such little moments. I'm kind of a sicko. I love putting in the work. I love getting to practice. I love getting to live out my dreams. But at the end of the day, sometimes I just don't understand the point.
And you know what? Maybe that's where we have these people in life who love the process more than they do the end result, right? Mm-hmm. They love the grind of getting there more than they love getting there. I mean, that's just not everybody's wired that way. But
true.
It is. Some people are.
He did bring up the whole point. I don't know if I skipped over this segment or not, this part of the quote or not. But he talks about how you win the tournament, everybody's cheering your name for a couple of hours, and then bam, it's on to the next one. Is he going to win the next one? Can he win the next one?
Yeah.
It's almost like your accomplishments don't mean a whole lot. So, I mean. Look, I've tried to play the devil's advocate side of this argument. Maybe Scottie's not all that dedicated to his craft. That's obviously false. That's obviously lip service to the opposite side of this argument. Scottie Scheffler is the world's #1 ranked golfer. Clearly, he's not sitting there hovering in that 15 to 20 rank, kind of finishing just outside the top 10 when we all know he's an elite level golfer, and he just doesn't apply himself, right? He's not Kyler Murraying his way through his PGA career.
Yeah,
I'm fully aware.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. No, I agree. There's a big difference in a Kyler type and a Scottie type, right?
So, what do you think? And maybe he doesn't even know the answer to this question. Do you think he plays past 35?
How old is he now?
He's 29.
That makes me sick.
And by the way, 35.
I don't want to talk about
is the average age.
Scotty's my age.
Yeah, and he's worth $94 million.
I can't count the $94 million.
I don't even know if I have $94. The average age at which a PGA golfer wins their final major is 36. Now, there's outliers. There's plenty of examples of outliers.
I was going to guess like 32.
But
I was off on that.
Tiger won the 2019 Masters at 43. Jack Nicklaus won the 86 Masters at 46. Phil won the 2021 PGA at 50. But when you look at some of the other greats, Nick Faldo won his last one at 35. Arnold Palmer at 34, which blows me away. Arnold Palmer did everything he did before the age of 34. You would think that guy just kept winning forever.
Yeah.
Tom Watson won his last one at 33. The number could creep up a little bit with, Spieth and Koepka and DeChambeau. Those guys could creep that number up a little bit higher, but mid-30s is basically when you are coming down the back nine and you're not really that elite competitive guy anymore.
So if I had to guess, if I had to put a number on it, how long does he play? He's 29. I'd go like 35.
Yeah. I'm surprised more athletes don't retire early. They make a
Imagine
ton
retiring
of money.
at 35.
Yeah.
God!
What a life.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
It's not like he's going to have $100 million in the bank and he's just going to live off of it and blow it over the rest of his life, buying houses and cars and whatever it may be.
That's ridiculous.
He would still get tremendous endorsement deals, and unless he just truly went full hermit and shut it down, he's still got an income coming in for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it really is interesting. But nonetheless, guess what? He's the odds-on favorite this weekend. Shocker, right? As he will be again next weekend.
Are you going to be getting up at 5 a.m. to watch?
No, but I do enjoy getting up and golf being on. That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't enjoy you and I doing the show and there not being golf on. I'll tell you that. I think I would rather – I do enjoy sitting here and watching golf while you and I do the show, but it'll be long gone.
Why do you enjoy waking up to golf, but you don't enjoy waking up to like English Premier League? Like you got major sports with full stadiums with 50, 60,000 people in it.
Because I wouldn't watch soccer if Rob Brown forced me to. And Rob Brown's on the stream flipping me off right now that you can't see. I just for you, buddy, just for you. Tolos, if you have not heard this audio yet, you need to, especially if you're a Clemson fan. If you're a Gamecock fan, it's a great time to rag on Dabo Sweeney. He learned during his family vacation that there is more than one guy on planet Earth named the Brian Kelly. That audio next. Well, just a couple of hours ago, Dabo Swinney spoke at Clemson's media open house, and right before he talked about what he did for his summer vacation, he told this funny story. And you know what? I applaud him for telling it, because there are a lot of Gamecock fans out there who will go after Dabo for this. This is pretty funny. Dabo Swinney found out on vacation, Diesel, that there's more than one guy named Brian Kelly.
Just really stupid on my part, but shocker. We went down to the beach, and we went to, there's a place called Grayton Beach, down in the Panhandle, and I was with my brother hanging out, and they've been telling me that Brian Kelly. So there's a place called the Red Barn. It's a great little spot to eat down there. Anybody ever been to the Red Barn? Panade chicken is awesome, right? It's right there on Great Beach. It's a little spot. So my brother or my sister-in-law, she's saying, "Hey, Brian Kelly has a place. His wife has a gift shop right on the corner there in Grayton Beach." I'm like, "Oh, really? That's pretty cool." You know, I had no idea. So anyway, we go there, and I walk off. So I go into the store. Me and Kat walk in the store. Kat buys something because she's trying to support Mrs. Kelly or whatever we're doing. So she buys something. We go in the store, and I'm walking around. I go out, and they're like, "Yeah." And he's got a concert. He's gonna have a concert in the back. So I'm like, "Okay." I'll walk out the back. There's a little stage in the back. And there's like some, I think it's like fake grass or whatever. Just a small little area. It says Brian Kelly, you know, performing live on this day, whatever, and I'm going, freaking, hey, Brian Kelly, I didn't know that. So I'm like taking pictures, and I'm sending it to Brian Kelly. I'm sending all these pictures to Brian Kelly, and then I'm going, you know, I get on the stage, you know, Brian Kelly, you know, I'm just kind of having some fun. I'm like, you know, hey, I got, and I sent all this to Brian Kelly. All right. Well, then the guy that was with my brother, he's walking over because Cass said something about, I don't know what she said. I just can't believe that Brian Kelly. This is really cool. And she's, and you know, like we know we played them or something in the opener or whatever to the guy. And he's like, what? And as it turns out, there's another Brian Kelly, and he's like, what's the band? Anybody know? It's something Florida Georgia Line or something. I think it's called Florida Georgia Line or Georgia Florida Line Band. It's Florida Georgia Line Band, and he's like the lead singer or something. I haven't even heard their songs, but I don't know all these people's names. But I have no clue. So so now Kath goes, babe, it's Brian Kelly's a singer with Florida Georgia Line. And I went, what? I've been fired all these pictures off to Brian Kelly. He's over there probably going, what's this needed? What's this dude doing? So anyway.
Is that not great?
Do you think his family trolled him, or do you think he was just that naive?
100%.
God.
I mean, if his sons were with him, I feel like they would have trolled him, and they would have known who the other Brian Kelly was. But maybe, Diesel, if it was just him and his wife, maybe she didn't know.
Imagine buying tickets to a Chris Brown show. And you're there, you're hyped up, you're waiting for Under the Influence, you're waiting for Loyal, you're waiting for Go Crazy, and then you hear, back off, I'll take you on, headstrong to take on anyone, because the lead singer of Trapped's name is also Chris Brown.
There are people in this world that have the same names.
Yeah.
It happened. But that's funny. If that were me and I were in Dabo's shoes, Diesel, I will admit to you, I probably wouldn't have told that out loud. I don't think I would have told that.
That's a good, affable story. That's a good story.
So
I mean, you could be Michael Bolton from Office Space and absolutely hate your name.
Yeah, you could. And the reason that Dabo went there with Brian Kelly is because he was asked about Brian Kelly yesterday, saying that they have the real Death Valley. Dabo responded by saying, I don't know the context. I have no idea. I have a lot of respect for LSU and Coach Kelly. It'll be a really great game and a great environment with two really talented football teams. So Dabo not feeding in, Diesel, to the little poke of the bear, if you will.
Yeah, to quote Michael Bolton, no way. Why should I change my name? He's the one who sucks. When we come back, Rob Brown of The Rob Brown Show, who is live on location for his second trip around the sun at SEC Media Days. We'll talk to Rob, get the latest lowdown from Atlanta next. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. I can only imagine as things have just unfolded there at SEC Media Days, day number 2, that Rob Brown just witnessed the equivalent of like a Backstreet Boy or a Beatle making his way into the arena because, oh my God, Arch Manning is on site representing Texas at SEC Media Days, day 2. Rob, just how big in a media days that is big, and you have worked ACC Media Days before. Cole and I have worked ACC Media Days. Those events are relatively muted, and with SEC Media Days just being ramped up to 1 million, how palpable has it been to see Arch Manning kind of wandering the halls?
Yeah. Hey, Rob, real quick. Unmute your mic, then continue on StreamYard. Sorry, at the bottom. I tried, but it won't let
No,
me.
all good. Is that better?
Now go ahead.
All right, better. Sweet. Okay. So I was talking with David Nuno of TexAgs.com a few minutes ago. He's been covering the SEC for 20 plus years, good friend of mine. And I asked him about Lenoris, and he said, look, here's the reality. We all believe that if Lenoris can elevate the talent around him, he can absolutely be a Heisman finalist, maybe snag a win if Carolina gets to, 10-2, 9-3, but have a couple of good wins. And you can tell that most of the people in this building have that same feeling because they treated him like that yesterday. The only other guy that has attracted that much attention in the last day and a half is Arch Manning.
Yeah, and I don't think that comes as a surprise to most, just with the hype that is, surrounds Arch and Texas. When you look at the 2025 SEC Championship futures, Rob, Texas is plus 210 according to Vegas. Not great value there. Georgia plus 390. To me, if I had to put money on one today, I would probably take the value and take Bama plus 700 if I could find it for that inexpensive. Do you like the safe bet with Texas and Georgia sub 500, or are you willing to go above 500 and maybe win a little bit more money?
I have got a little bit on because I was in North Carolina last week and I was allowed to. I have got a little bit on Georgia and actually that line's moved because it was at I believe plus 350 about a week ago, and now it's a little bit longer if you've got it at plus 390, but I'm going with Georgia, and there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, the questions about Georgia, obviously they start with Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback, but I feel like we were having the same conversation about Carson Beck last year going into the season that we're having about Gunnar Stockton now, and Kirby Smart, I think, did a fantastic job tinkering the offense to suit him. So, and on top of that, that Georgia's been a dominant line team on both sides of the ball. They run the game well. I think that they are going to be able to run the ball for some level of success this year. And then there's the other side of the ball, the defense, where, listen, at this point, I'm relatively sure we're all very confident that this year's Georgia defense is the Philadelphia Eagles 2028 defense, right? That's the amount of dudes they've been pumping into the league. So I like Georgia. You add on Kirby Smart, and then you look at Texas. And again, I think anybody who says it's unfair to ask questions about Arch Manning is silly. Yes, he's got the name pedigree. Yes, he's got probably the greatest assembly of coaching around him with Archie, with Eli, with Peyton. And Steve Sarkisian obviously knows how to get the best out of a quarterback. But to just make the assumption that Arch is going to step in and be a Heisman guy right out of the gate, I think is silly. We have seen more success out of Lenore Sellers than we have Arch Manning so far, and I think there's something to be said for that. You also talk about the fact that they sent, 2 wide receivers to the NFL that they've just got to replace, and everybody's acting like that's just a granted, like it's just going to happen. And then there's Steve Sarkisian, who 95% of the time is going to be a spectacular coach and play caller. And then you're going to make it to a championship game. Then you're going to make it to the SEC championship game, the semifinal game, and with a first and goal to go from the 4, he's going to run 3 end arounds instead of putting the ball in Arch's hands and just letting him bulldoze to the goal line. Like, those are the things that prevent you from taking the leap from a good team to a great team. And I'm not convinced that Texas is there. So I think I'll take the experience with Georgia. Alabama, Cole, I want to ride with you. I want to say Kalen DeBoer is in a prove-it year right now. The only problem I have with them is we got even more questions about Ty Simpson, their quarterback. Quick, anybody, tell me something about Ty Simpson. Nobody really can, right?
He's good hair.
He's got great hair. I will give him that. He does have great hair. I think, because I can't see his head in my head, right? Like, I can't picture him. So let's say you're right. I think it is fair to have as many, more questions about. I think I have fewer questions about everybody else. They got Ryan Williams, the wide receiver, is going to be a stud defensively. They are filled with athletes all over the field. It is 100% going to come down to, can Ty Simpson sling the ball around the field the way that he needs to? If the answer is yes, I think Alabama's a great bet for the value. If the answer to that is no, that team could be 7-5 at the end of the year.
Rob, with Kirby Smart and Steve Sarkisian being there today, kind of bookending the festivities, that middle part must have felt like it dragged in a major way. Hugh Freeze, obviously battled there at Auburn, and Josh Heupel with just the tremendous amount of media coverage he's had to deal with over the offseason, losing his quarterback. Like, what was were you in the room when Josh Heupel was on, and what did you gather from the line of questioning that Josh Heupel faced? Was it still a lot of it directed back towards the Nico Iamaleava storyline? Was he really trying to push the focus forward and saying, hey, we feel confident with Joey Aguilar?
The answer to both of those questions is yes. Like, obviously, people are going to ask about Nico Iamaleava. People are going to ask about that situation, mainly because, remember, when that whole thing was breaking, Tennessee kind of came out of left field with the, okay, he's not on the team anymore. Remember, like, it wasn't Nico going, I got to go, whatever, I'm transferring. Tennessee basically just put out a press release in like a Wednesday morning that was like, hey, Nico Iamaleava is no longer with the team. Unfortunately, our values didn't align, and he's on his way somewhere else. And that was a very interesting story. So I think Josh Heupel's trying to kind of stay away from that and push towards what this team's going to be. But I think he should, right? Like, if anybody's going to be able to tell us more about Joey Aguilar, it's obviously you, D-Train, him moving over from Appy State. But I think it's fair to say there's questions there. They lose guys like over the last couple of years, like Squirrel Wright. Some of their better wide receivers have moved on, so they got to rebuild. But the Tennessee folks right now are all in on Josh Heupel. They're like, believe the hype poll. Get it? Because it's his last name. Genius, I know. They're in. They're in on Josh Heupel. And to some degree, so am I. I think he is – I put him in the category of Shane Beamer. And I think I'm going to add Mike Elko to that short list of coaches in the SEC that the players are like, that's my dude. I'm going to war for this coach. A Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, that's my guy. I'm going to war. I think his players feel that way. So it is going to be a bit of a rebuild for Tennessee, and for a rebuild year, tough schedule that they caught. But I do think the Tennessee fans are excited about it.
I'm fascinated to see what happens with Joey, not only because he came from my alma mater, but because he could be one of those great examples of a guy that came from a junior college. I think it was called like Diablo State, which might be the coolest name ever for a junior college.
That is correct. I tried to buy a T-shirt. They don't sell them. It's very frustrating.
To go from a JUCO to a good Group of 5 program, and to have the season, not last year, but the year before, the incredible season that he had, and then to level up yet again, wasn't the way he thought it was going to look, going to UCLA, losing his gig at UCLA, going over to Tennessee. I mean, you got a guy who clearly has size. He's like 6'3", 210 pounds. He's that right size guy. what does putting better and better and better athletes around you do for a guy who didn't come out of high school with all that hype?
I mean, I think he's going to answer that question, right? Like, we've seen some guys who step up from smaller levels and show up in a big way, and we've seen some guys who don't. I mean, it's one of those things that I know that we talked about this yesterday. Fellas, we in this industry, all of us, we love to try to take really nuanced, gradient-based situations and try to say, well, it's either X or Y. It's either left or it's right. So that because it's easier to talk about that way on the radio instead of saying, well, let's talk about this variable and this variable and this variable and this variable and this variable. It's easier to say, well, it's either going to be great and it's going to show that young guys can do it, or he's going to suck and it's going to screw every JUCO quarterback in the future. Here's the reality. It might be one or the other. He might step up. He might show that, hey, you miss on some guys. Shane Beamer made it a point to say the other day on yesterday in his press conference, that he knows that it's going to be difficult right now for South Carolina to compete with 5 stars that Georgia won, 5 stars that Bama won. But you know what he said? There's a lot of guys out there that are 2- and 3-star guys that maybe didn't get the best coaching in the world in high school. And we feel like if we can find those guys that go, 3-star guy, but he never really got coached the way he needed to, we're going to bring him to us. We're going to coach and develop him. We can turn that guy into a 5-star guy. And then that's the question with Joey Aguilar. So the only thing I'm really interested in this day and age is we are going to see, for some schools, not all of them, but I think especially if Joey Aguilar works out, I think you'll start to see a lot of coaches at that level, Diesel, that they stop looking for, maybe at least as frequently, they stop looking at high school quarterbacks and they start looking at quarterbacks out of Appalachian State and Ball State. And they start looking at quarterbacks out of San Diego State and these lower to maybe FCS and Big Sky schools. It's Ohio Valley Conference schools, and going, all right, that dude maybe got a little training at college. He absolutely balled out. Let's bring him up a level. And on top of that, he's got, maybe you get a shorter term with him, but they got a little bit of experience under the belt that you don't have to train out of an incoming true freshman.
Rob, what's the consensus there in Atlanta with Auburn? Diesel mentioned Auburn a few minutes ago, but, look, Auburn's a school that has a lot of pride, especially in their football program. What's the consensus when it comes to Hugh Freeze? If he just can't get it done in 2025, where he goes entering the 2026 season a year from now?
That is a fantastic question. And I think the first thing I have to do is, and I hate to be this guy, is ask a question in response of, what does get it done mean, right? We played this game this morning with Shane Beamer, who we talked about the Paul Feinbaum quote yesterday, where Paul didn't say you can't win the SEC, but basically said it. And Shane said, we have everything we need on this roster to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
But he didn't say what we need to do. He didn't say what the goal is, right? I kind of in that same spot of, I need to know what you consider success or failure. Because to me, after this much time at Auburn and as much money as they are paying him, 8-4 is probably absolute floor of what I would say is acceptable. I think they got to get to a 9-3.
If South Carolina, if their goal is the playoff, wouldn't you say Auburn, who's a much more tradition, has much more rich tradition than South Carolina, if South Carolina's expectations are the playoffs, what's Auburn's expectation? Have they fallen that low?
I would say the answer is yes. I would say that it's absolutely a fair expectation, is to either be in the playoffs. Now, I did say about South Carolina, if they were to miss the playoffs, then I think the next thing to do is not to just get to the end of the year and they're 10-2, but they're team 13 and go, oh, Shane failed, right? I think we need to contextualize why they missed the playoffs, who they lose to, when they lose to them, how they lose to them. Did they drop one to Bama and one to Texas A&M, and they're both road games and they're both by 1 point? Like that's something you can kind of go, okay, real close. Here's the problem that Hugh Freeze has created for himself at Auburn. The recruiting's very average for a school that should be doing better. The recruiting's very good. Very average. It's not very good. And at a time where Hugh Freeze is, and I'm just telling you what I got told by an Auburn guy earlier this week. All right. So don't take this as gospel from me. I'm just telling you what I got told by an Auburn guy this week that I trust, that I like. He said the problem is that Hugh Freeze has been kind of slow on the recruitment trail and the development trail. And he's been telling people at Auburn it's because of some personal issues and some health issues that he's had to kind of slow down. And he promises he's going to get back. The problem is, over the past handful of weeks, people have been seeing Hugh Freeze out there playing golf, getting 18 holes in on a Sunday after church, getting out there and swinging the sticks a little bit. And it's kind of like that situation where if you call in sick from work, don't put a picture of yourself at the beach on Facebook. You know what I mean? Like, if you call in sick from work, don't post on your Twitter that you're out with the boys having a daytime brewski at the bar when you told your boss you're sick. It's kind of that situation. If that is what you are telling Auburn, and then they catch you playing golf on a Sunday instead of out on the recruiting trail, then don't you think the standards justifiably go up? It's like LeBron. You can be the biggest crybaby in the world if you're scoring 35, 10, and 8 a game, right? Like, we know there are rules that are different for guys who do that. If Hugh Freeze goes out and the Tigers go 11-1 and they make the playoffs, brother, I will pay for your country club membership myself.
Yeah, well, the rules are different when you're a coach in the SEC. We just had the conversation, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at the story when we got into it earlier in the show about, Scottie Scheffler essentially saying it's all about the process for him. It's not about the winning, the 2 minutes of feeling good about taking home another green jacket. Doesn't mean a whole lot to him after that little situation is done. But in the SEC, you cannot let that kind of information slip. You cannot say that publicly, that winning is not everything to me. That's just not the case. Looking ahead into tomorrow, Kalen DeBoer is on the mic at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I think the lowest common denominator, the mouth breathers, the knuckle draggers say things like, Kalen DeBoer is on the hot seat.
Stop talking about Paul Feinbaum's listeners like that.
He's on the hot seat. They're going to fire him if he has another season like last year. I mean, yeah, it's tough when you're the guy who follows Nick Saban. But when you follow that up with the most number of wins in program history for a first-year coach, even if one of those losses was to Vanderbilt, there ain't no way Kalen DeBoer is going anywhere in Tuscaloosa. Like, what's the vibe around Kalen down there?
That is a good take, and the people who think he's on the hot seat is it's a bad take. So you're right. I go back to 2010 or whatever it was that Nick Saban took over at Alabama. I was actually at I believe his first game was Alabama, Florida State over in Jacksonville. And I went to that game, and Florida State worked their ass that day. And they struggled a lot under Nick Saban. Why? Because before that, they had Shula and they had Price, two guys that were not good and not culture guys, not true leaders, not coaches. They were dudes who wanted to make a lot of money by coaching football. It took Nick Saban a while to get the new culture. And as you pointed out, nobody wants to be the dude that follows the dude. The way I've been phrasing it is nobody wants to be the guy that follows the goat. Them are big shoes to have to fill in that spot, right? So the other aspect of that is not just that you're taking on Nick Saban's expectations. It's also that Kalen DeBoer is a totally different type of coach. Nick Saban is the Nick-tator. We didn't call him that because it's cutesy. We called him that because he's an absolute freaking dictator with everything around his football team. Kalen DeBoer's kind of a loosey-goosey player's guy, right? Like, there was a big fight in Tuscaloosa a couple of weeks ago at one of the spring practices because practice ended, and he's like, yo, boys, don't leave the field yet. I got a surprise for you. And he allegedly rolled an ice cream truck out onto the field and bought all the boys ice cream after a practice in the Tuscaloosa sun, right? And Bama fans freaked out. That was the worst thing in the world. Oh, Nick Saban would never. Yeah, I know, but that's because Nick Saban hated fun. Nick Saban was the dude who would win a championship, and before they got on the plane, he'd be game planning next year's week 1 opponent, right? Like, he doesn't know how to enjoy himself and have fun. Kalen DeBoer is a dude that goes, it's a game. We want to win. We want to be the best. We also want to enjoy what we're doing. And so it's not just the expectations that maybe have to change a little bit. It's also the entire culture of the program. Kalen DeBoer is going to be fine. It really comes down to, does he have a quarterback? If the answer is yes, Alabama's going to be fine. And if he doesn't, then the answer is going to be no. But I do not think that we can tie that exclusively to him.
Rob, I have it on good authority that if Kalen DeBoer brought Cole Bryson an ice cream sandwich in the hot Alabama sun, Cole would not eat it.
Probably not.
That's because Cole has terrible opinions on food.
I'd probably go inside to eat it. Hey, Rob, my last question for you. This is a pressing issue. Yesterday at SEC Media Day, Brian Kelly said that LSU has the real Death Valley. Is that true?
Thank you for putting me on the spot here, Cole Bryson. Thank you for putting me on the spot. I am going to say very respectfully that honestly the answer is yes. I am. I'm sorry. Listen, I've been to 4, 5, 6 Clemson games since I moved here. It's a phenomenal environment. Here's the deal. When your school intentionally sticks as many games at noon as they can versus LSU, who is quite literally ready to murder people when they put games at noon and 3:30 instead of at 7:30 so that they can drink every drop of vodka in the state of Louisiana dry before they kick it off. I am sorry. It is a great stadium. I do not disagree. But when you fight to put the games at noon so that your advanced ball club fans can come and then go home and take a nap before Matlock comes on TV that Saturday night versus LSU, who have a live tiger on the football field and drink the entire state dry of bourbon before 10 in the morning. Yeah, the real Death Valley's in Baton Rouge, guys. I'm not saying it's not a great place to go watch a football game in Clemson. It is, but y'all got a long way before you take that title officially.
So I agree. I mean,
So what you're saying is Clemson fans need to nut up or shut up.
No, I'm saying no. And for the record, just so I'm an equal opportunity a-hole here, boys, I got a big problem with Columbia, South Carolina, too, because they don't open the fairgrounds to tailgate until like 3 hours before the game. So you're telling me I got to sit in traffic to wait to get in. Then I got to sit through an hour of traffic to get in and maybe have 2 hours to tailgate before I go into Willie B. That's not enough time. Open that freaking fairgrounds 2 days out. Let me drink a distiller's worth of bourbon so I can be the best version of me as I can be when the football gets kicked at 7 p.m. Nobody's off the hook here. I want Willie B. I think as a stadium, it should be inside of the top 5 most difficult places to play in college football, but I can't put it inside of my top 5 experiences because you're giving me 2 hours of tailgating before a night college football game. It's just not good enough.
Well, don't tailgate at the fairgrounds. Go somewhere else.
Drink and drive on your way to the tailgate.
There are a million other places
I
to
don't
tailgate.
disagree, Cole Bryson, but here's the problem. I'm 40 and fat as hell, and the further away I tailgate, the further I got to walk to get there. All right. I don't want to do all that. So if they want to institute like if they want to come up with like a mini cockaboose that they're like, yo, if you park 2 miles out, we'll shuttle you to your car in there back, then I'm fine. If I can start tailgating at 7 a.m. for a 7 p game, I promise you I'm going to be shaking the rafters at Willie B. But if you're telling me I get 2.5 hours to tailgate, man, I can't say you're up there with Baton Rouge, Louisiana either.
Rob, enjoy your nap that's coming. We're going to hear from Tom Allen in the next segment. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, anytime, boys. Y'all have a good one. I will. If y'all want me tomorrow, let me know. I'll be here all day as well.
Rob Brown, the Rob Brown Show. You heard him right here on the Fan Upstate. We heard Tom Allen this morning at the Clemson Media Day Open House. The first time the entirety of the media got to hear Tom Allen. It was really good. Clemson fans, if you have not heard this audio, well, guess what? You haven't, unless you were there, because it was to the media only. It was for the media only. Why don't you do us a favor? Let your Clemson friends and family know that Tom Allen, the new DC, is going to be on the Fan Upstate audio from this morning's Clemson Open House. That's next. If you are a Clemson fan in the upstate listening right now, you'll like this audio. This was from this morning's Media Day open house at Clemson. Tom Allen spoke to the media, the new defensive coordinator. He fired me up, and I'm sure he'll fire you up as well. Here's what Tom Allen had to say.
Just to be able to continue to develop the guys individually. So that was a major goal, is once you get to know them and get the chance to see them on the field in spring ball, you get to evaluate where they're at. And then you set goals for them, in certain areas, and have their individual position coaches do that as well. And I focus more on mindset and daily habits. Really emphasize that over the summer, because that's the time when they really have the best opportunity to really develop those and build on those, because so much of it is away from the coaches more than it is during the springtime or in fall camp. So really want to see who kind of elevates themselves from a leadership perspective, but it's about really developing your body, developing your mind, mastering the system, being able to put yourself in position to have, as I tell them, my goal is to be in the best shape of your life when you come into training camp, and then also have your best fall camp you've ever had. And so how do you do that? Well, you do it by having physically, mentally, spiritually, getting yourself where you're supposed to be, and that's multi-layers. And to me, so that's the real focus was on that. And then it's just a constant accountability through that period, through our coaches, through our shrink staff, through myself, and it never ends. And so I think that's been the objective, and so we're just finishing that phase up right now. Got the rest of this week and then into next week, and we'll finish up the summer, and then they get a few days away, and then we're into fall camp.
What made Clemson the right move for you?
My family, and that was I was pretty clear about that from the beginning, and that's just proven to be an amazing opportunity here, being so close to our two daughters and our son who's with us here. But family is really important to me. My faith's really important to me. The culture that Dabo has built here is, was pretty well established and well known in regarding to the kind of environment you would be in here as a coach. And so those things just continue to be reinforced in the decision that we made. And obviously it was a part of a great place and working for a great head coach and great people. And I really appreciate that. And it was an awesome time. But for me, it was about my family. And it's proven to be an awesome thing to be able to get a lot of time together with them, way more than we ever would have had we lived in a different place. And those things matter to me.
Coach, to this point, is there an area in the defense you think is a strength and an area that you think you would like to see some improvement by the time you get to kickoff?
Well, we got a lot of work to do. I know there's a lot of excitement, as there always is, to start a season, and it's a new year, and everybody has a lot of high expectations for themselves and for their teams, and we're no different, but we got to develop depth. We really, I like the core guys that we have. But that's been a big challenge for us this whole summer, and challenge to the players. Want to be able to play a lot of guys. I want guys to feel like that every time they step on the field, they have a starter mentality. That it's not that I'm a 2 or 3 or 4. No, when I'm on the field, I'm the best player at this position. I'm representing that room when I take the field, and I want them to feel the pressure of that. And I think that's a powerful thing. And so that depth, to me, is what sticks out. We have to do a great job of being able to, attack the quarterback. But the first thing you got to do before you get a chance to affect him on third downs is stop the run. So that's been a focus since I've been here. That involves run fit. That involves tackling. We intentionally all summer long, obviously the summer's different than it is when we're with them here, as we will be here in fall camp, but we definitely, added some things to that over the summer for the guys to work on that during the summer, which I thought was very, very important to do. And so that's going to be at the forefront, is being a great tackling defense, an area that we have to improve, must improve. And you got to be able to, get 11 guys in the football. So that's the effort piece. And that, to me, that's the one thing that I probably put the most emphasis on. Why? Because it's the one thing that every kid completely controls. Every player completely controls his effort. So those are the kind of things we want to be able to keep emphasizing as we get into camp. And that needs to be our strength, how hard we play, how physical we play, how fundamentally sound we are in everything that we do, and from tackling to gap fits to execution of what we do is really, really critical for me. So going to get some time as the schedule allows us to here. we get closer here to camp to be able to be more time with our players, and so we'll maximize that. But the bottom line is that it's about performance at this point. We got a great opportunity ahead of us here this season, but we got a lot of work to do between now and August 30th.
Coach, you coached one of the best players in the country last season, Abdul Carter. What are some of the things you see in T.J. Parker make you think that you see some of the same qualities?
Well, at the end of the day, is can you get to the quarterback? And obviously TJ has shown the ability to do that in the past, and so that gets you a lot of excitement. Obviously, and those guys had similar numbers, a year ago, and I think just he has a knack to be able to position himself. He's great use of his hands, great leverage on offensive blockers and tackles and whoever chooses to block him. I think that pops out to me. His relentless effort to get to the quarterback is another thing that sticks out on film. His work ethic, I just love how he works. Those are all key things that matter. I think his technique has continued to get better and better all the time. He's got a great coaching staff around him up front and a lot of NFL experience there to work with him and get him ready to play at the highest level. So I think T.J. Parker has worked extremely hard, needs to have a great training camp like they all do. And obviously, it's like everybody else. It's about what you do on game day, And so he had a great, campaign a year ago, but he's got to be able to elevate his game and keep getting better. And that's what I expect him to do, just like, Abdul was able to have his best season of his career in his final year this past season, and that's what I expect TJ to do this year.
Coach, you talk a lot about effort. From the time that you got here, how long does that evaluation process take in terms of judging effort and who does see the field more?
Yeah, I think it's never ending for me, so they're going to learn real fast here in fall camp that everything we established in spring ball, that wasn't just a spring ball thing, that's an everyday thing. And we will not be outlasted by our players in that regard, so we're going to be relentless in expecting that, everything that we do. So day one, day two, day three, it's going to feel just like it did when we started spring ball. So that's the expectation. But I will say, to answer your question, when does it show up? We were watching practice after, I think it was even during a scrimmage in the stadium, and there was a particular play where it was like, okay, this is starting to look the way it's supposed to look. And you just saw all 11 guys just put their foot in the ground and just fly into the ball. Empty stadium, nobody's watching. All that matters is what's on the inside and how you've been trained to respond when the ball is on the perimeter or wherever the ball goes. And we saw, even Coach Sweeney noticed it and mentioned it and commented and pointed out to the whole team. And to me, that was just kind of you saw, okay, these guys are starting to figure this out, and which is a pretty awesome thing. I just think there's a lot of similarities. Even though, like I said before, we've never had spent a lot of time together. Weren't close friends by any means. Talked only a handful of times over the years and had met maybe once, in person. And so, but I just think, we read the same books. We have a lot of the same values. We have this, a similar philosophy on life, what's important to us. And he's a unbelievably positive person and believes to focus on things in that regard and makes that your emphasis instead of what we can't do or what things might be negative around you. We focus on the things that you can do and the things that could create the outcome that you're looking for. And so I just love being around guys like that, and so I think we have a lot of similarities, and we see things the same way. We value our family. Our faith's important to us. We're going to hold people accountable. I love, man, he's a bulldog now, and with his coaches and with our players, and it don't matter who you are, no matter, and it's awesome to see. It's every day. It's in team meetings. It's in practice. It's before practice, during practice, after practice, and I love that about him. And like I said, I just think we have a lot of things in common, and it excites me to be around a person that shares those same things and the things he says. And I'm always taking notes from every time he talks to our guys and team meetings, and staff meetings, and we have a similar mindset. We really do, and I think that's probably the biggest key. And I just think that it affects your relationships as well. And we kind of can, we're on the same page with a lot of things, and we want a lot of the same things, and we care about a lot of the same things. And so I think that's a special thing, and that's an awesome thing. And so I think it also is a reason, it kind of attracted me here, just to be able to be aligned with someone like that you believe in. And I believe I can sell Clemson. Even before I knew a lot about Clemson, I could just share my heart about how I feel you build relationships, how you build a team, how you build a special culture. And he and I have a similar alignment with all those things.
remember watching Ben Boulware out here in August camp, and he was about as intense as he is on game day. Have you seen that? What does he bring to the linebacker room?
Oh, yeah, he's another one. I mean, you use that word bulldog. I mean, he's a relentless guy, man. He's so passionate about football, life, holding his players to a high level of accountability, the way he held himself, how hard he played, you know, how well he prepared and studied, you know, to be able to anticipate and bark out, you know, things and call out plays and anticipate what the offense is going to do and just being demanding. You know, I love the way he coaches his guys. I mean, he's tough on them now, but you can hold people to a high level of accountability, and you can be really tough on them when they know you care about them, when they know you really genuinely love them more as a person, as a player. I believe in that. I think that's critical to relationship building, to coaching, to getting the most out of guys, and I see those qualities in him. You know, I've said before, I recruited him when he was a high school player, and just loved the way he played the game, man. It stuck out to me, the way he finished plays, the way he tackled, how hard he played, the effort piece. I love that about him. I mean, you know, he's not the biggest guy. He knows that. We joke about that quite a bit, but man, he wasn't the fastest guy, but man, he was extremely, extremely effective. He was a great leader. He was a great football player, and obviously led them here to national championships. So just being able to, you know, have a guy in that room, the room that I think kind of drives all that, you know, those linebackers, to me, they set the tone for our whole defense, and he sets the tone for that in that room. And so having him in there is massive for us. It's huge for me. I know when I first talked to Coach about coming here, that was one of the things we talked about was being coach of linebackers. And so just feel like that it's a critical position for us. I'm obviously going to be in all those meetings as well. Because that's where my eyes go. That's the position I play. That's the position I coach, and that's where my heart is. But I also know that's the group that drives the defense. You know, so he's the leader of that group, and he's doing a phenomenal job of holding them to the standard of Clemson defense.
You've been here 6 months now. Similar position last year. How would you say these first 6 months have been different from your first 6 at Penn State?
Oh, I mean, I just think, you know, coming into a defense that you know, was a little beat up. You know, and rightly so. So, man, it's just what it is. And then, whereas before I went to a defense that was, you know, one of the best in the country. You know, and so that creates different challenges. That creates different, you know, how do you motivate? What do you do? What do you add? What do you change? What do you not change? And so, you know, I came here and we changed everything. I mean, we changed everything, and that was on purpose. And so, just wanted to get, you know, a completely fresh start in every way. And so, the way we called things, the way we did things, the way we practiced, you know, playbook and everything. And so, I think that you know, we got to have an edge about us. You know, we got something to prove as a defense. And I watched a ton of film. I'm a film guy, and film doesn't lie. You know, and so you go through and you watch everything and you see what you have. And you know, we got a lot of work to do between now and our first game, without question. You know, so but I love where we are, and I love the way the players have responded. I love the way they're working right now, but it's got to continue, you know. But I think it does feel a lot different because you got to, you know, we had a big opener a year ago. We got another big opener this year, which is awesome, but that's what makes it exciting. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot to prove. That's probably the way to say it for me is this defense has a lot to prove on the field. And so it's really talking don't mean anything. You got to make plays on game day. You got to get those stops. You got to, you know, put yourself in position to win the game. So I just feel like that definitely a different you know, situation that I walked into. And but the exciting thing here is there's a standard that's been set here in the past, in the recent past of playing great defense, and that's where we expect to be this season. But we got to go prove that. We got to go do it. And it starts week 1, and it never stops. And it's got to be consistent. And that consistency, to me, is a big part of what we've been emphasizing as a staff. And those daily habits and those practice habits and those, you know, film study habits. And those things are going to show up on game day habits. And that, to me, is what we're really working so hard to establish. And so that's been the focus since I got here, and it's not going to stop.
Yeah, Coach Allen, those changes you're talking about.
up, I don't know what to tell you because he's just got that old school football coach kind of draw to him, doesn't he?
Yeah, it sounded like he was resting his pipes a little bit before that interview, right? Tom didn't seem like he was as hoarse as usual. Maybe that means things are going well, and he's not having to scream at people as much as he used to.
Maybe not. I don't know. Speaking of screaming.
Yeah, you're going to be screaming at the 2025 Rock the Country concert at Anderson Sports and Entertainment Center in Anderson next weekend. That's Friday and Saturday night, July 25th and 26th. Here's your chance, Tolos, to call in at 844-326-3663 and score two-day general admission tickets on Friday. It's Kid Rock, Tracy Lawrence, Aaron Lewis and the Stateliners, Shenandoah, Little Texas, Logan Crosby, and Yin Yang Twins. And on Saturday, it's Nickelback, Hank Williams Jr., Gavin Adcock, Mark Chestnut, Sammy Kershaw, Hudson Westbrook, and Afro Man. You want to score these tickets? Call in right now at 844-326-3663. Caller number 5 will win the tickets. Good luck. And then when we come back, we'll have more audio from Clemson's media kickoff. Cole had a chance to sit down with Mike Houston, the former head coach at East Carolina, now defensive analyst for the Tigers. That's coming up next. Coverage of Clemson's media outing continues here in this segment. Cole sat down with Mike Houston, now the defensive analyst at Clemson, with a one-on-one conversation. He was the former head coach at East Carolina. Before that, he was at James Madison, where I think he won a national championship at JMU while they were in the FCS. Another former head coach on staff. That's how you do it, man. You start stacking dudes who have been head coaches and let them run their individual departments. Before we get to that, got to say congratulations to Clayton Edie from Greer.
There we go.
Won the Rock the Country 2025 tickets. We'll have another chance for you tomorrow, and I promise tomorrow we'll actually do it at 4:20. 4:20 tomorrow, your next chance to win those tickets. So be here at 4:20 if you want to go. Kid Rock and Nickelback headlining this event. So here we go, back down to Clemson this morning. Cole was sitting down with Mike Houston, defensive analyst for the Clemson Tigers.
Cole Bryson here with Coach Mike Houston. Coach, just talk about this day, this operation, the media outing at Clemson, and your time at previous destinations, including East Carolina, but your time now coming to Clemson and just seeing what this is all about. Obviously, like Tom Allen, you've known about the program and the culture, but now that you've kind of got your feet wet, how's it feel?
Well, just excited to be here, humbled to be here, and I've had a relationship with Coach Sweeney for a long time. Just when this materialized back during the winter, was very enthusiastic about coming and being a part of this, both professionally and personally for my family. Being able to move my two boys and wife here to this area. So, I think that it has been, I wouldn't say what I expected, but there has not been any disappointment. I think that everybody has kind of a vision from the outside looking in.
Sure.
And I'd had the opportunity over the years to speak at Coach's Clinic and to be around the program some, but being on the inside, working on a day-to-day basis, just very impressed with just the first-class way that everything's run, the high character of people that are a part of the staff, the quality of the young men in our locker room. It has been, very enjoyable and very impressive.
If somebody out there is driving around the upstate this afternoon listening to you speak and is curious to ask what Mike Houston's role, what Mike Houston's blueprint on this Clemson football team and your role looks like from the very base to the, the highest level of what you're able to do in your role, what would that look like in your mind?
Well, we're all involved in recruiting, so that's part of it. But
is that the biggest, you feel like?
No, maybe just we're all involved in recruiting. But I'll be working very closely with Coach Allen on a day-to-day basis. Be with him on game day, helping out some of the special teams, and spending some time with the back end on a daily basis. So that'll be my primary focus.
You said a minute ago that it wasn't exactly what you thought it would be. In what ways do you feel like your short time at Clemson's been better? In what ways do you feel like it's been better?
Well, just like I said, you have a certain vision on the outside looking in, but also I've been a head coach for the last 14 years and been around a lot of programs. And, with all programs, there are stuff, things. And just the way that the program is ran from Coach Sweeney all the way down to, whomever.
Yeah.
Everyone just does a first-class job, is more than willing to help out, if you have a problem or issue. And it is truly a great family culture and atmosphere. And everybody says that.
Sure.
But it has been very, very impressive the way everybody lives it out here. And so that's the thing that I'd say probably exceeded expectations.
And your time as a head coach, was there anything that you kind of took away from Coach Sweeney? You talked about knowing him. Was there anything that you kind of modeled after him?
Well, I will say this. When I left the Citadel and went to James Madison, and that was the winter of 2015. And I've been running the Wishbone at the Citadel, and took the job at JMU. Of course, that time here at Clemson, 14, 15, 16, the program was humming along pretty good. And so we literally took game film from that time here at Clemson to kind of model our offense at JMU, which, we had great players there.
Sure.
And using a similar scheme, we had a lot of success and we're very explosive. And so I would say we stole a lot of stuff from Coach during that time.
Yeah. I said he's probably okay with that now, though, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Any wishbone implementation coming to the offense for Coach?
No, I'm not.
You can't even get one play in, Coach?
Garrett does not need my help at all. He's got a great staff over there.
What's it been like kind of meeting him so far?
It's been good. We had a little bit of a connection through the East Carolina in our background.
Sure.
But have really enjoyed getting to know him personally, and have enjoyed going against him in practice and getting a feel for him as a play caller and a coach. And I think he's just like I mentioned with everyone else, just an outstanding person. Has high expectations for the job that he does and for his assistant coaches, and I think he does a great job of not getting too bent out of shape. Has a very calm demeanor, which I would like in a play caller.
Sure.
And so I think he probably fits Coach Sweeney pretty well.
Yeah. Coach, we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Good to meet you.
holler at us. Come see us. Come get some gift cards from us. We'd love to see you in the big town of Easley. But, Diesel, let's do this. We are 5 weeks away. 5 weeks. Can you believe that? You can almost touch out and reach it. 5 weeks until college football kicks off. We rank the top 5 Power 5 bottom feeders. What does that mean? Well, simply put, you know what a bottom feeder is, right? A lot of people don't eat bottom feeders because they think they're what? They're dirty. They're not clean.
But shrimp's good.
Shrimp's good.
Catfish is good.
Shrimp's so good. Why would you not eat shrimp?
Yeah.
It's so good. It might be a bottom feeder, but
You just got
it's
to take
so
that little
good.
vein out the back. It's fine.
It's still so good. But the bottom feeders do what? They feed off the bottom.
They filter.
They filter. And maybe you don't want to hear your program referred to as a filter on this Tuesday, but Tolos, Diesel, and I need your help. If you're listening, if you're a college football fan, get your phone out as long as you're not driving and get ready to hit us up on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Phone line's also open, 844-326-3663. The bottom feeders, the top 5 Power 5 bottom feeders of each conference. So we have to pick 5, one from each. And I know it's, Power 4, Power, whatever. We're going to do 5 since the number is 5,
So
Diesel.
4 and a wild card?
Sure. Why not? What conference do you think the wild card should be?
Ooh, which conference has 2 bottom feeders? That's an interesting question.
Oh, you're saying throw a wild card from any? It could be a wild card from any?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I like
have,
that.
You said we have to pick one from each Power
That's right.
5 conference.
And
it's who do we think is going to finish last this year?
Well,
or just
yeah,
general vibes?
Yeah, that. I mean, if general vibes are they're the bottom feeder, most likely you're going to pick them to finish last, right? I mean, Vanderbilt, for example, used to be, until they beat Alabama, that's right. If you're a Bama fan, sorry, but not sorry. You used to be, Vandy, the bottom feeder. You weren't last year, but you still are most years. Who do you think? Let's start with the SEC, the big bad SEC. And again, Tolos, want to hear from you at 844-326-3663. In 2024, Vandy was a little bit better, right? However, when you look at the conference as a whole, they were still toward the bottom of the conference. Oklahoma wasn't good. Auburn, do you realize Auburn was 2-6 in conference last year?
And everybody thought Hugh Freeze was going to come in and fix everything.
No. So let's start with the grand old SEC, the Southeastern Conference. Tolos, let's hear from you. We're ranking 5. We need 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 bottom feeders of each, one from each conference. And we're starting with the SEC. You've got about, in my mind, 6 to choose from. Because Arkansas hasn't been good.
Right.
Vanderbilt's been bad other than this year. They won 3 SEC games.
Yeah, but they got Diego Pavia.
They get
again.
Diego Pavia.
One more ride.
Oklahoma all of a sudden said, hey, I want to be in this conversation. They went 2-6.
Yeah, they were really good in the Big 12. Do you think maybe they're regretting their decision to leave for the SEC? You know, you're in a prestigious conference. You got all that extra money coming in, but now all of a sudden people are scheduling you for homecoming games.
And maybe you say, Diesel, Oklahoma can't be the bottom feeder just because simply they haven't been in the conference long enough. That's fine. I mean, I would think that'd be fair criticism or a fair statement. Auburn, they were horrible last year, but Auburn's not. They're not a perennial bottom feeder in the conference. I mean, they've been down, right? That leaves Kentucky and Mississippi State, right?
I don't think it's Kentucky because they've actually been pretty decent the last couple of years. Fan attendance was up. Everybody thought, people were looking at Stoops like, hey, is he available? If he could do this at Kentucky, imagine what he could do at our school.
No, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, it does look like there is a general consensus that there is one team that is the bottom feeder. Again, we can only choose one. Texter JD, he sent 3. We can only choose 1 from each conference. 1. Let's see. On the text line, 770 says Georgia Southern, App State, safe from that spot. We'll get there. We'll talk about that. Let's see. JD says the ACC, Big 10, and Big 12 have multiple bottom feeders. JD, 1.
The bottom feeder.
1.
The,
Uno.
the, one, uno,
Texter, Texter from the
he says.
762. Oh, this comes from Nashty. Ah, look at that. Hadn't heard from Nashty in a while. Good to hear from you, Nashty. It must be time for the Upset Picks Challenge. We're seeing some new Tolos make their way into the conversation. Nashty says Mississippi State. Tolo Steve goes Mississippi State. Says they'll be the worst. And it looks like on the stream, DB's chiming in as well. Oh, DB's going Vandy from the SEC.
DB, is that a prediction or is that based on history?
So let me ask you that. If it's between Vandy and Mississippi State, who wins as the bottom feeder in your mind?
Oh, the bottom feeder is Mississippi State because,
I think so,
look,
too.
Mike Leach had them pretty good.
Yeah.
What was Houston? Was it Houston Nutt who was there before him? No, not Houston Nutt. Oh, God.
If you want to ask me.
Left Mississippi State to go to Florida. Dan Mullen.
Okay.
Dan Mullen and Mike Leach had him rolling a little bit for like a minute.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of that program's history is a bottom feeder,
guess
right?
You just look at Vanderbilt and you think, man, Diesel in 3 seasons, they went 6-30.
Yeah.
From 2022 to 2024.
They're not athletes, they're mathletes.
I mean, they're not. Clark Lee's like, he's gotten hot lately because he's got won 3 games, right? They're the doormat of the SEC. They don't have
but
the
he's
NIL.
got a quarterback now.
I know, and that's why this conversation is interesting. How they lifted off the bottom of the ocean.
They've also got a shiny new stadium on the way.
Yeah.
I wonder what like condition that stadium is in right now. I haven't seen any photos of the construction for a while. Last year,
do they
was it
know
only like
they
half
have
of a stadium?
I wonder if they know down there at Vandy that they have to get this thing ready for football season. Let's see.
More like we got to get it ready for graduation.
Yeah, no kidding. Nasty says, I've been listening, but sometimes tags usually don't put my name down. Nasty, we appreciate you. I'm going to go just Diesel because you went Mississippi State. I'll go opposite of you. I'll go Vandy. As my SEC bottom feeder. So the reason for that, the facilities, a little bit worse, Vandy. Fan base, a little bit worse, Vandy. Program, a little bit worse, Vandy. I'm going to go Vandy as the bottom feeder in the SEC. You and a lot of other Tolos go Mississippi State, though.
I don't know, man. I'm looking at photos of the stadium, First Bank Stadium renovation update, and it looks like it's almost there. It looks like it's almost ready. I mean, look, they're not going nuts with this thing. They're not turning it into a 100,000-seat stadium. They know they'd never sell it. What they're doing, though, is vastly improving that one end zone of the stadium.
Sure.
And I'm telling you, man, if you were standing on the 15-yard line trying to go into the end zone, like you got a wall in front of you. That end zone facility is big, and it's in your face.
All right, let's make our way from the SEC to the Big Ten. We go to the Big Ten. We look at what happened last year, right? Because we always want to know what happened most recently. Best team in the Big Ten, Oregon, 9-0, Indiana 8-1, Penn State 8-1, Ohio State 7-2 in conference, Illinois 6-3 in conference. Guess what? The bottom feeders. There was one team last year, and I don't know why I picked them on the Upset Pick Challenge. That's still the worst thing in the world. But these
was it a swing for the fences, like a 25-point upset?
Yeah, I think it was. You know who went 0-9 in the Big Ten last year, don't you? It was the Boilermakers. 0-9, Maryland 1-8. Relatively new, I guess, still to the conference, new-ish. I don't know if they're still new.
Well, Shane Connick, he's a Maryland alum, and he is Big Ten through and through. Shane Connick doesn't know Maryland as an ACC
That's crazy.
school.
Maybe they've been there longer than I realized.
I know. How long has Maryland been in the
God,
Big Ten?
Is that bad? I was gonna guess 6 years off the top of my head, but I guess it's been way longer than that.
It was 2014. It's been 11 years. So this will be their 11th Big Ten
almost
season.
double what I thought. Wow.
Time flies, man.
The Big Ten has like 1 million schools.
You were 18 when that happened.
Yeah, graduated high school. Is Purdue the general consensus?
No.
No,
I don't think Purdue is. No, not Purdue. They're one of those programs that will at least step up and have a good year,
They'll win
like
one
every
game.
3 or 4. No, I mean think back, like they beat Ohio State a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And they will have that occasional holy crap season. Like it's hard. The Big Ten's got so many candidates.
They do,
Illinois,
don't they?
Indiana. Obviously, I know Indiana made the CFP last year, but prior to that season, Indiana has been trash.
Before last
at
year,
football.
people would have probably said Indiana's the bottom feeder.
Purdue, Northwestern. You got options there.
Yeah.
And that's not even including Maryland, who, again, will have occasional good seasons every now and again. They're fewer and farther between.
That is interesting. The quick turnaround of Indiana has kind of lifted them off the bottom.
Maybe it's the conversation is more in like who's got the worst brand? Who's got the worst brand in each one of these major conferences?
I do agree with you on Indiana. I mean, Northwestern hadn't been. I mean,
It's
they've been hit or
Northwestern
miss.
for me.
It is?
They play in a high school stadium.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
So Northwestern's your bottom feeder.
And Rutgers. God, we didn't even think of Rutgers yet.
Ooh.
But they got Schiano back.
Yeah, and they won 4 games in the conference last year, right?
Yeah.
And Minnesota's hit or miss. They won 5 games last year in the conference. Nebraska hadn't been good since.
Wow. Dan B's on the stream. Be careful.
Sorry, radio silence here. I don't even. It's been a long. Michigan State's fallen off a lot, but they're not bottom.
When Scott Frost says, "Oops, I shouldn't have taken that job," that's a new low.
Right. So you don't. So I am going to this time agree with you. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go Northwest. Any Tolos out there that disagree with Diesel and I on Northwestern?
Northwestern is the Vandy or the Duke of the Big Ten. It's the smart kids. They're all up there.
Tolo Steve says Purdue will be the bottom feeder in the Big Ten. OH. Tia Experience says, how can Vandy get a new stadium? They barely played and competed in the one they have now. That's a good point. Corn Chip says, I forget to sign my Georgia Southern text. Probably a safe assumption that it would be me bringing up the Eagles on the show.
Tron is a Georgia Southern alum.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, Tron texts in for the Upset Picks Challenge. He also interned here for a little while.
So, okay, Diesel and I agree. Northwestern. We have a lot of votes for Purdue. In the SEC, I said Vandy. Diesel said
Mississippi
State, the Bulldogs. Big 12 we go. We'll leave the ACC for last. I don't know why. In the Big 12 last year, Arizona State was 7-2. BYU was 7-2. And guess what? Iowa State and Colorado were also 7-2. But at the bottom of the conference, your guy, I'm a man, I'm 40. Well, guess what he was last year? 0-9.
Yeah, last year was such a weird year for Oklahoma State.
But you can't say they're bottom.
No, they're not bottom feeders because, I love that stadium. I love the atmosphere there. I love Mike Gundy. And last year was just a weird year. I mean, prior to that, he didn't have many losing seasons.
No, he's good. So Tolo's out there, Big 12. Who's your bottom feeder? Is it Arizona? Is it Utah? Is it UCF? Is it Kansas? I mean, they were 4-5 last year with Jalen Daniels. West Virginia's usually middle of the road, right?
Gundy is 169 and 88.
Did you say
head coach?
169 and 88?
169 and 88.
It's not bad.
I'm trying to find. I don't think outside of his first year, 2005, he had a losing record his first year at Oklahoma State. He had not had a losing record until 2024.
So it's a good stretch.
Yeah.
A Mike Tomlin stretch, right?
Yeah. I mean, he 11 wins in 2010, 12 in 2011, 10 wins 3 years in a row from 2015 to 2017, 12 wins in 21, 10 wins in 2023. To call Oklahoma State bottom feeders, that's not right.
They've fallen off a lot.
Yeah.
Who would you go Big 12?
God.
Would you go UCF?
It's hard to pick. UCF won a national championship a couple of years ago, if you believe them.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas maybe?
Yeah. Even though Kansas was better,
They still usually just.
they're usually terrible. They're usually terrible. I'm
going to go Kansas.
I caution to pick Cincinnati because they're still pretty new to the league. I caution to pick Utah, even though they went 2-7 last year, because Utah was fantastic a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Arizona's had good years recently. To me, it's either Arizona or Kansas, right?
I'm going Hawks.
You're going Hawks?
I'm going Jayhawks. Kansas.
Yeah,
Kansas.
I'm with you. Arizona has had more good seasons than Kansas has.
Okay.
So it's Kansas.
And that leaves us with the ACC and a wild card. Before we get to the wild card and the ACC, the bottom feeder last year, this is such a weird conversation because you would look at the bottom and think, oh, Florida State went 1-7, right? But Florida State's been one of the best teams in the conference. Stanford's new to the conference. You can't call them a bottom feeder. So Wake Forest last year was 2-6. Cal, you can't really call them bottom feeder. They're new. Virginia, you could call them a bottom feeder. Pitt, relatively new. Boston College was 4-4 last year, but they're never good. Virginia Tech, Duke was better. Ooh. What do you do here, ACC Tolos?
And you
Bottom
can't call
feeder.
it Wake Forest because you have to factor in the Dave Clawson years where he was pretty good there for a while, right?
I'll tell you who my vote goes to. The Cavaliers.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. God, I mean, you'd want the University of Virginia to be better in football. They're just not. They're not. They're
So
awful
bad.
and have been for the longest. Most of the time, I forget that Virginia even has a football
I know.
team.
And poor Tony Elliott left Clemson to go to Virginia.
Why would you do that?
Let's see. DB says, but over the years, Duke football. Okay, that's fair. Over the years, Duke football has been garbage. A couple of years ago, they got good. I mean, yeah.
My answer, though, is Boston College.
Oh.
My answer is Boston College. They're good sometimes, rarely. And that's kind of the story of the ACC. It feels like there's a lot of churn at the bottom three of that conference.
Yeah, there does.
Sometimes it's Wake. Sometimes it's Boston College. Sometimes it's Virginia. Sometimes it's Pitt. Sometimes it's Duke. But every now and again, it's like a percolator. They rise to the top and they fall back down. They rise to the top and they fall back down.
This one's tough.
Is it a choice between BC and Virginia?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe I do agree with DB. You can throw Duke in there. Texter from the 887 says the answer for the ACC is the entire conference. Oh,
God,
that's bad.
Maybe the real
funny.
who's more top heavy, the ACC or the Big Ten? I know it's a little relative.
I still think it's the Big Ten.
The Big Ten's more top heavy.
I think their top heaviness is heavier than the ACC. I do. I think they're better teams. So that's four. We have to pick a wild card now, Diesel, for the fifth
wild card
bottom feeder.
I think the wild card for me has to come out of the Big Ten, I
mean, you can go
I
Conference
think it's Rutgers.
USA if you want to.
I think it's Rutgers. No, we're doing Power 4 conferences here. The bottom feeder, the wild card bottom feeder I'm
Big
throwing in
Ten.
is Rutgers.
This isn't a bad one.
Like good under Schiano the first time, awful after he
Not
left.
a bad one at all.
And we'll see how it is the second time around.
Let me look in the Big 12 one more time before I agree with you. Ooh, you might be right there.
Starting to come down here in Greenville.
Oh, man, I didn't even know.
Weather's coming down. I got window cracked outside.
Oh, yeah, man, run to a
good.
break.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Rutgers Tolos. Give us your 5-844-326-3663. The shrimp, the bottom feeders, the catfish. All taste good, but not good enough.
When we come back, we heard it from Greg Sankey yesterday. He certainly delivered a message to Tony Petitti in the news about what he wants when it comes to college football playoff expansion. But is Greg Sankey shooting himself in the foot or playing the long game that actually benefits him more? That conversation next. We played the audio here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson yesterday. Greg Sankey, in his opening comments at SEC Media Days, seemed to take a shot square at Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big Ten, when it came to college football playoff expansion. And it kind of struck me as a little odd as to what he said. It was all about, potentially expanding to 14 or to 16 teams and what the format would look like. And he's basically saying, look, we're trying to put something together, but he and I don't see eye to eye. And I think Greg Sankey is playing the long game on college football playoff expansion because he knows full well that if he does what sounds like the magnanimous thing and keeps this thing as open and as simple as possible, veers away from that 4-4-2-2-1+3 model, that he knows the SEC eventually, more often than not, is going to win in the long term and is going to make more money off of this college football playoff. And I think he knows it. And I think he kind of gave Tony Petitti a chance to say, I was only going to take 4 from you. Now I'm going to take 7.
Whether or not he believes what he says, we obviously don't know. But when he goes and says things like, even though they've won 2 back-to-back national championships, we still have the better conference, top to bottom, the deeper conference, the deeper league, top to bottom. Look, he's the SEC commissioner. Regardless of if he believes it or not, that's what he's supposed to say, right? He'll say that until he leaves office, I guess is what you call it, as the commissioner.
Yeah.
Diesel, but I do believe it's hard to say, and Buckeye Mike and Tolo Steve and those may disagree with us. I still do believe the SEC top to bottom is the best conference. So how does that affect them not being able to come to a decision? I think this league and other leagues who continue to win national championships, the Big Ten has a lot more leverage today in my mind than they've had in a long, long time. And what's sad is, as much leverage as they have, it still might not be enough.
Yeah. I think he tried to do the gracious thing, because there was a time when Greg Sankey was also on board and floating this 4-4-2-2-1+3 model. And I think he tried to do the gracious thing and say, okay, Tony, Bubala, I'm gonna guarantee you 4 spots. But now that they can't come to a decision, he's saying, all right, then I was only gonna take 4 guaranteed spots. Now I'm gonna take 7 or 8 in any given year. He has to believe that even though the Big Ten has won 2 straight national championships, you're right, the SEC is a better league top to bottom. The Big Ten can win it in a tournament format, but when you can put teams that you think top to bottom are better than their top to bottom in a tournament format, more years than not, you're going to come out ahead in that thing. And if you can put 7 or 8 in there every season, it gives you obviously the best chance to win, the best chance to take more money. See, I think Tony wanted guaranteed money every year. He wanted to be able to go to his TV partners and say, hey, look at all these teams we're going to have in there every year, pay us more.
But the thing about it is, though, we just looked at the bottom feeders in the last segment, right? So Tony Petitti can do the same thing that we just did. Greg Sankey can do the same thing that we just did. Any other conference commissioner can do the same thing that we just did in that last segment and go down and look at the bottom of each conference pertaining to the Big Ten, pertaining to the SEC, and see very clearly that for the most part, the SEC top to bottom is a deeper league. I don't know exactly where I stand on how many teams should get in. I mean, from each conference, I do understand the philosophy of a tournament format being able to aid somebody from the Big Ten or the Big 12, whatever conference it may be, even the ACC. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked over the years, even when Clemson won the 2 national championships, they won, Diesel. People have asked me, Cole, do you believe that Clemson would have won those 2 national championships if they were in the SEC? A lot of Clemson fans will say, yeah, we'd still won. We were still good. And they were good. But the reality is when you do have to go through the gauntlet of the SEC every week, things happen. You can lose games. Players can get injured.
Worse record, better team.
Yeah. You could have a worse record for sure.
Texter says if Greg Sankey really wanted to do what was best for the SEC, he would add a ninth conference game and not worry about the coaches whining about losing more games. If you don't want to lose more games, get better as a team. Adding a ninth game in the SEC would bring those teams a boatload more TV revenue. And nowadays, it's all about the money. I mean, I don't want automatic spots every year, just like I don't want a hard cap on how many teams a conference can get in. You know, I don't want the SEC guaranteed 4, just like I don't want them limited to 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Pick a random number. Call it 6.
Yeah.
You know, because some years, and it's rare, okay, I mean, just for the sake of this example, some years the SEC is not going to have 4 teams that are playoff eligible. And some years they might have 8 that are playoff eligible. I want to let this thing play out naturally. I don't want to try to force something into a certain kind of a box, because as soon as you try to force something into a box, it always goes askew. Look at what happened this past year. Boise State, one of the top 5 conference champions, and they get a bye, and people don't like it. So you forced it into a box of top 5 conference champions get a bye, and then it happens, which nobody expected it to happen that way, that Boise State would get that, and now everybody hates it and has to change it.
I just wonder, I'm curious, Diesel, when you talk about teams having automatic, or conferences having a lot of teams getting in, 3, 4, whatever it is. I'm with you. I said multiple times last year that I agree with that. I don't like too much structure, right? I think you should have fluidity on a year-to-year basis. How do you find the common ground here, though? How do you find the common ground with what we're talking about when you talk about who gets in and who doesn't get in? It kind of, for me, goes back to the conversation that somebody asked Dabo Sweeney earlier today about expansion. Like he said it. It's gonna expand. So will the expansion help this conversation? Maybe so. Will it really help the conversation though? I don't know. It may help it on the outside looking in, right? Because more teams are going to get in. There will be less debate of, the SEC. But the conversation's still going to continue. Oh, much like the conversation we had a couple of days ago with college basketball. Same thing.
Yeah.
That thing's as big as it can get. But what do we need? More teams.
So I think the Big Ten, though, is the only conference that should want the more complex 4-4-2-2-1-3 setup. Because in most years, let's be real, in most years the Big Ten doesn't have 4 elite teams that could go compete for a national championship. I mean, you got Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Oregon.
Yeah.
In most years, only 3 of those 4 are going to be true contenders, right?
Yeah.
So they should want that guaranteed extra spot to make sure it's the Oregon or Penn State, if we want to use recent examples, that those 2 teams are the ones that get in. But the SEC should want this 5+11 because they'll automatically get their champion in, and then they could gobble up a good chunk of those extra 11 spots.
It's interesting. I don't know where it goes, in terms of what Greg Sankey wants. The reality is, Diesel, don't you think whatever Greg Sankey wants, he'll probably get? Is that the way?
Probably.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's, we said it yesterday. It sounds like he's setting himself up as the college football czar. And like I said, I think he's trying to sound magnanimous. He's trying to sound like he wants to do the right thing for college football. We all know that's a big load of horse crap. He don't want to do what's best for college football. He wants to do what's best for the SEC. And that's his job, to do what's best for the SEC. They pay him a lot of money for that. So if he can paint Tony Petitti and the Big Ten as this Darth Vader of a conference, I think it helps. I mean, it helps in public perception. What does it mean on the field? Not a lot, but it helps.
It certainly might. And Greg Sankey, whether you like him or not, I mean, he's kind of feels like he's got a chokehold on everybody else, on everything else. You may not want that for college football, even if you're a fan of somebody that's not in the SEC. John Dog says, change one thing and another problem comes up. You start constantly changing. JD says, miss me with the 9-game conference schedule crap. Aside from the money, what benefit is there from a 9th conference game that you don't already learn from 8? And I believe you got to the other text about Greg Sankey. So it's interesting.
Nine conference games gives you another opportunity for an SEC win, but it gives you another opportunity for an SEC loss that could push you out.
Tolos, there is a story up on thefanupstate.com about CJ Spiller. If you're a Clemson fan, you might want to check it out. It's about the message for 2025 in his running back room. Tomorrow, we'll have audio from CJ Spiller from today's Clemson Media Open House. But we've got to get to it. The headlines, top stories in sports. It's the Daily Wires next. wrong. Yeah, didn't turn the mic on.
0 for 2 on that one.
Come on.
You won't have a strike 3, though, because you're going to nail it from here on out.
No, I'm giving up. I'm going to give up on this. Are you kidding me? Diesel, every day, we take a look around the sports world to see what's happening. What's happening? We call it the Daily Wires.
Buzz.
It's the buzz. The buzz of what's going on in the sports world. In case you missed it, Rob Brown joined the show earlier live from SEC Media Days. Some good insight. We'll have that replay for you at 6:20. So turn it on and leave it on. Also, coming up at 6 o'clock, how about Clemson fans get ready? Garrett Riley and Ben Boulware on the Fan Upstate. Audio from earlier today at the Clemson Media Open House. So we'll have that for you. So much to get to. Also tonight, the MLB All-Star Game. How about that, Diesel? You taking the American League or the National League? Do you care? I don't really care. It's the All-Star Game. People will watch. I didn't watch the Home Run Derby last night. By the way, Cal Raleigh won the 2025 Home Run Derby.
What were they calling him? Big Dumper on TV? Pat McAfee introduced him as Big Dumper because I guess he's got a big old butt.
It's pretty good, right? It's pretty funny. I don't have an issue with that. Let's see. Coastal Carolina's Caden Bodine, even though the man on the recording says Bodine. Caden Bodine, guess what? Drafted in the first round, 30th overall by the Baltimore Orioles. So how about that? Congratulations
Good
to
for him.
Coastal Carolina.
First
Caden.
rounder.
That's big time, man.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, also, pertaining Diesel to the draft, how about this? Congratulations to Brody Fowler of North Greenville being selected in the 2025 NFL Draft to the Atlanta Braves.
You mean MLB draft?
What'd I say?
It'd be NFL. It'd be exceptional if he became brave after the NFL draft.
Sorry, Brody. Sorry, Brody's parents. Sorry, whoever else from North Greenville's listening.
I don't know why my key card doesn't work.
Let me try that again. Congratulations to Brody Fowler for being selected in the 2025 MLB Draft.
There it is.
To the Atlanta Braves. Pick 517. NGU going to the Bravos. How about that? Hopefully he's immediate impact kind of guy because the Braves need him, right? Play him tomorrow. Go ahead and call him up. Send him straight to Atlanta. The new WNBA team in Portland is named the Portland Fire, has been named the Portland Fire, paying homage to the city's resilience and passion for sports. What are your thoughts on this? Portland Fire.
I thought they would call it the Portland Leg Hair.
I don't know how I feel about Portland Fire.
It's better than calling them the California Fire.
Okay, true. That's true.
It'd be like
right?
naming a team the Texas Floods. You know, you just don't
you
do
don't
it.
do it. You don't do that kind of stuff, right? I mean, Portland, it's a real liberal city. They have fires.
Sounds
they
like
burn the city down.
Such
That's
a basic name. Portland
man.
Fire. Oh, great.
Yeah, that's interesting. Tampa Bay Buccaneers bringing back their infamous creamsicle uniforms.
Yeah.
Bucco Bruce logo for a game in week 3. I love those.
Bring it back all season. The modernized logos suck. Bucco Bruce and the creamsicle for Tampa was awesome. Awesome.
I do like
uniforms.
the creamsicle, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I like that. Former NFL quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, coached high school football, has been suspended from coaching his former high school team in Miami. Why? Well, he was providing players with financial benefits that he reported to school. I thought that was called an NIL. Despite the suspension, Diesel Bridgewater expressed his commitment to continue coaching the team. Last fall, he led Miami Northwestern High School to a state championship before signing with the Lions. He paid for the rides, meals, treatments, pretty much everything. Weird situation there.
So who's supposed to pay for those things? Rides, meals, and treatment for players? I would assume this is outside of the football program. Like you take them to a, I don't know, what do they call them? Those professional stretching studios that work on you?
That's Deshaun Watt. Oh, no. Sorry.
I was trying really hard not to say massage parlor.
Sorry, my fault there.
Yeah.
My fault.
Well, that would be a completely different story if it was like that.
Former Texas Southern football player Tyler Martinez tragically killed in a parking garage dispute where he was shot multiple times, later pronounced dead. 24-year-old suffering GSW's apartment complex in Houston. Isaac Jasper Robinson, 22, arrested, charged with murder. Just hate to hear this. Witnesses did report that Martinez and Robinson got into a fight before the shooting occurred. Paul Skeens will start the World Series for the All-Star for the National League. He'll be the first pitcher in MLB history to start in each of the first 2 All-Star game appearances. Garrett Wilson and now Sauce Gardner have signed new contracts with the New York Jets. 4-year, $120 million deal there. I mean, everybody's getting paid up there. With 60 guaranteed.
Can they break off a couple of those million for us working folks?
An Indian-born runner nicknamed the Turband Torpedo. I am going to try to pronounce his name, Diesel. You ready?
Yeah.
Fauja Singh.
Probably how I would have said it. Fauja, F-A-U-J-A.
Yeah.
Fauja.
By the way, he's died after being hit by a car in India. Terrible news there. Am I reading this? Is this a typo?
No, this is correct.
He was 114.
Yep.
What terrible luck is that? You live to 114 and die by a car?
Yeah. Hit
Oh
by
my
a car.
gosh.
World's oldest marathon runner.
Oh, and last but not least, Scottie Scheffler raised eyebrows recently. We talked about this earlier in the show after saying winning didn't hold a lot of value for him.
It doesn't complete him.
That's right.
Jerry Maguire.
Those are your daily wires.
When we come back, Cole, let's jump into some more interviews from Clemson Media Days.
That's right. Ben Boulware, Garrett Riley. Some good stuff here. Clemson fans, you're going to love this. That's next.